नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the second volume, third chapter of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the journey of Gopakumar. Yesterday we had a very elaborate recap of the chapter, so I will not go the full recap. So for now, Gopakumar has just reached Brahmajyoti or Mahakalapura. So he says, अत ईश्वर इच्छया अतीत्य दुरंतम तद्गणम तमः तेजः पुंजम अपश्यन्तम दृग् निमीलन कारकम. It is mentioned that by Ishvara Ichcha, by the desire of the Supreme Lord, because Gopakumar was so mesmerized by the layer of Pradhan or Prakriti, the eighth layer surrounding the earth, that he actually did not want to leave because it so much resembled the dark bluish color of Lord Madan Gopal, that it reminded him, and he was very much attracted. So he did not want to leave, but the Supreme Lord wanted him to move on. So therefore he that place, and he entered this Brahmajyoti, which he saw like a place flooded with unbearable light, that it forced Gopakumar's eyes to close. But when Gopakumar tried to look ahead with utmost devotion, this is the Bhaktya Paramaya Yatnad Agre Drishti Prasarayan. So this is the most important point. With utmost devotion, when he struggled to look ahead, he saw the form of the Lord. So this is the point. So the Lord Mahakal, who resides there in Brahmajyoti, he has a form. But that form can be seen only by those Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochane, those whose eyes are anointed with the salve of love. Because Gopakumar had Bhakti Adhikar, therefore he could see the form of the Lord. Whereas the other living entities who reached there, they did not have Bhakti Adhikar, so they just saw bright light. They could not see the form of the Lord. So, increasing the ecstasy of mind and eyes, the Lord showed his most wonderful form to Gopakumar. And even though that Supreme Lord is Gunatita, beyond the three modes, but still he possessed Asesha Sadgunam, Ashesha Sadgunam, limited spiritual qualities. Even though he is Nirakriti, he has no material form. Loka Manorama Akritim, that he has a spiritual form which completely mesmerizes the whole world. Even though the Lord is Prakriti Sambandha Vihinam, he has no touch with Prakriti, but still by his empowerment, Prakriti performs many pastimes like that it's mentioned. So as soon as Gopakumar saw this form of Lord Mahakal, a flood of reverence, fear and joy overwhelmed Gopakumar. And Gopakumar did not know what to do at that time. So that Lord was beyond the scope of the senses, but only due to his mercy. Yadyapyasau atita indriya vrittikah. Even though the Lord was beyond the indriya vritti, the scope of the senses, tat karunya prabhana sakshat samikshate. By the power of his mercy, Gopakumar could see him directly. So Gopakumar could not understand whether he was seeing the Lord with his eyes or with his mind or with his soul. So whether he was seeing with the power of the eyes or the power of the mind or the power of the soul, it was not very clear to him. At one moment, Gopakumar saw him as formless, and at the next moment, when he remembered the mercy of Lord Jagannath, he saw his form, and he became very joyful. Okay. So here Srila Sanatana Goswami mentions that this is one characteristic of the abode of liberation, the Brahmajyoti, that individual distinctions tend to become obscured by the all-pervading divine light from the transcendental body of the Lord. So the individual distinctions tend to become obscured by the light. Even though individuality is not lost, but one certainly perceives a loss of individuality, like we were discussing yesterday. There is no literal loss of individuality in Brahmajyoti, but there is practical loss of individuality. Okay. Neither does one's conditional nature. The conditional nature is also absent, and the spiritual body is also not awakened, actually. So therefore, for all practical purposes, the living entity remains there without any scope for exhibiting its individuality. And on top of that, the glaring light of the Brahmajyoti makes that distinction, actually, it obscures that individual existence in Brahmajyoti. So as soon as Gopakumar would remember Lord Jagannath, immediately by the power of that devotion, he could see the form of the Lord. Like that, by the power of that mercy. Okay. So then he says that sometimes Gopakumar would begin to merge into that effulgence, but the Supreme Lord, by the light emanating from the toe nails of his lotus feet, would protect Gopakumar from merging. It was not literal merging, it was just an experience of a feeling of completely losing one's individuality and merging in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. So, like that. So, and Gopakumar also was not just given darshan of the Father Lord, but Gopakumar could also see the individual living entities, the Brahmajyoti Vasis, actually the individual souls surrounding the Supreme Lord. So even though those living entities were not at all interested in performing any personal service to the Supreme Lord Mahakal, but the Lord kindly considered those liberated souls as his devotees, even though they had only very eager secondary devotion and not really any, uh, you know, uh, but still the Lord very kindly considered them as his devotees. So when Gopakumar observed the treasure of Brahmajyoti, he also became like an Atmarama. He also felt like a completely self-satisfied person, having no other ambition. So to the extent that he was forced to almost conclude that he must have reached the highest destination and the perfection of his life. So he felt like that. So at that moment, he felt that he lost the awareness of his goal. He forgot that his goal was to establish a relationship with Lord Madan Gopal. So that was the influence, by the influence of that place, by the influence of Brahmajyoti, he felt he lost awareness of his goal, that his goal was to establish a relationship with Madan Gopal. Okay. So Srila Sanatana Goswami says the powerful influence of that realm confused him, temporarily diverting to another form of the Lord his determination to worship Madan Gopal. So because of the influence of the realm, he thought that Mahakalpura and the Lord of Mahakalpura were the final goal of his life. He felt that. But he was protected by the power of following the instructions of his Guru and by the power of his service to the mantra. That protected Gopakumar. So this is the key. This is the key. So while, like we were discussing yesterday, that especially in our parampara, in our sampradaya, we are so much against this mukti. Mukti is seen as the greatest distraction of a devotee aspiring to attain the lotus feet of Krishna. So therefore, hearing this mukti katha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so heavy against Mukunda that he refused to show him his Mahaprakash form. He refused to admit him in this Mahaprakash Leela. Even though for this very same reason, that he would go and hear about Mukti from the Mayavadis. Like that. So when in our Sampradaya, our Acharyas have been so heavy against hearing Mukti Katha, here is Gopakumar directly there in that abode of liberation, experiencing that bliss of Mukti, and he is feeling that, oh, probably there is nothing higher than this. Nanyadasti, there can be nothing higher than this. But what protected him was the power of following the instructions of his Guru and the power of his service to the mantra. This was protecting him. So in today's day and age, the age of social media, there is so much bombardment, either in the form of Hindutva or other different types of philosophies, modern psychological insights, so much of this, so that nationalistic things, which in our own devotee groups only, all of that is being circulated non-stop, raining. It's raining, literally. all these false philosophies. So, and most of the time, our own devotees are completely absorbed in the social media only. So, unless they are protected by the power of following the instructions of the Guru and their sincere service to the holy name, it is very difficult actually. So, despite being the abode of liberation, Gopakumar was protected by the power of following the instructions of his Guru and by the power of his service to the mantra. So he says that somehow by that mercy, my hankering to see the lotus feet of Madan Gopal did not fully, otherwise did not fully disappear means to a large extent it did it did disappear due to the influence of that place. Therefore, we have to be very careful about our association. In one sense, I mean, this is my observation. I have nothing against anyone. This is just my observation. Many times devotees say that, with the BJP government coming into power, it is such a boon for the devotees. But actually, I am seeing it is the other way around, actually. I have nothing against BJP. If I had voted, I would have voted for BJP. I have nothing against it. People are so royally distracted. Any devotee, any few devotees coming together, especially in India, most of the time, instead of talking about Krishna, they are talking about BJP and Narendra Modi and Hindutva and Bharatiya consciousness. This is, instead of Krishna consciousness, it has become Bharatiya consciousness, Hindu consciousness. Everywhere, actually, literally. I mean, to the extent that even sitting on the Vyasasana, people absolutely know without any remorse, they speak on these topics, actually. So, we have to be careful. We have to be really careful because our attachment to our guru and mantra is very, very weak and very fragile actually. In such a situation, bombarded from all directions in this way, we will break down for sure. We will break down for sure. So we have to be careful, everywhere because I'm observing, and it is, and in most cases it is coming from top down actually. That is the most unfortunate thing. The leaders themselves are propagating these kind of thoughts and understandings and ideologies. So what will the poor innocent followers do? So I mean, I'm seeing this is a very, very great danger for our society as a whole. You know, people are royally distracted actually with all these kinds of, especially because the whole Hindutva sounds spiritual also. So people are totally confused to the extent that people sitting on the Vyasasana are telling that yes, Prabhupada did say that patriotism is on the bodily level, but that is only if you are not from Bharat, that patriotism is material. But if you are from Bharat, that patriotism is spiritual. People are talking like this sitting on the Vyasasana. So, and in devotee forums, there is discussion about devotees are comparing India defeating Pakistan in cricket match and comparing it to Ram defeating Ravana in on the battlefield. And these kind of things. And these are like so many senior devotees are there in the forum, and these kind of discussions are happening. No one has the guts to moderate also, because it has come to such a level that it is accepted as spiritual now. Anything about Bharat, even if it means India winning the cricket match, is considered spiritual topic. Anything about India nationalism is on par with spiritual and fit to be spoken on the Vyasasana. So, I mean, I'm just telling you, this is in today's day and age, this is happening. So be careful, because the onslaught is very, very, very dangerously powerful onslaught is going on right now. So if this is all new to you, then you are in very safe zone. Be happy. But this is something very real happening. Like that. So in fact, the more so Gopakumar says, in fact, the more I looked at Lord Mahakal, the more my greed to see Madan Gopal increased. And this was happening because of the power of following the instructions of his guru and by the power of his service to the mantra. Like that. This is where we ended our discussion the last time we discussed. Before starting today's discussion, if there are comments, questions, anything anyone would share as add, you can please go ahead. Okay, if there is none, then we will continue our discussion. तेन तं प्रकटं पश्यन् अपि प्रियेण पूर्ववत् सीदाम्यतलयं स्वस्य शङ्कमान स्वयं भवम्. Tena, because of that greed, pashyanapi, even though I beheld tam, that supreme lord, prakatam, right before me. So that supreme lord is Lord Mahakal. Okay. Priyena purvavat, I could not feel as satisfied as before. Rather, ata sidami, in fact, I was disturbed, shankamanaha, by the fear, swasya layam, that I might merge into him. Swayam bhavam, as was likely to happen in that abode. So he says, because of that greed for Lord Madan Gopal, the more I looked at Lord Mahakal, the more I felt fearful that I might merge in the Brahma Jyoti. So this is actually the symptom of mercy. The symptom of mercy is that the more we come in touch with these kind of false ideologies and temptations, the more we feel fearful. But the more we lose fear of these things, and what not, and what more, if we ourselves start propagating these kind of things, that is the symptom that we are actually losing mercy. So we have to be careful. So Srila Sanatana Goswami says, Even though the presence of Lord Mahakal greatly intensified Gopakumar's greed to see Lord Madan Gopal, Gopakumar did not feel as happy here as on the other planets he had visited. The various forms of the Supreme Lord he had seen elsewhere had not inspired a remembrance of Madan Gopal as intense as in Mahakalpura. But at least on those planets, Gopakumar had been in no danger of merging into the object of his meditation. So, in the other planets, at least, even though the darshan of Lord Mahakal inspired his greed to uh, see Lord Madan Gopal, but nevertheless, he was not very happy because there was always the danger of merging in the object of his, and that danger was not there in the other planets. So if he were to merge and forget his separate existence, he would also forget his desire to join Sri Madan Gopal's pastime. So he was very afraid. So afraid of the wrong association, that fear of wrong association, healthy fear of wrong association is definitely a symptom of um, mercy actually. Okay. व्रजभूमा विहागत्य साधयेऽहं स्ववाञ्छितं विमृशन् एवम् अश्रौषं गीतवाद्याद्भुतध्वनिम्. Evam Vimrishan, I was thinking, Aham Agatya Iha Vrajabhumau. I was thinking that if I return to this Vrajabhumi, Sadaye Aham Swavanchitam, that I would fulfill my desires. Ashrausham Gita Vadya Adbhuta Dvanim. And then I heard some wonderful singing and music. So Gopakumar says, I was thinking that if I returned to Vraja, all my desires would be fulfilled. Then I heard some beautiful music. Krishnam paritapashyan vrisharudam vyalokayam kamapyurdvapadat tatra yantam sarva vilakshanam. Krishna, enlivened, paritah pashyan, and looking all around. Aham vyalokayam tam api vrisharudam. When I looked around, I saw a person riding on a bull. Sarva vilakshanam, a very unique person. Tatra ayantam, arriving urdhva padat, from a higher region. When I looked around, I saw a unique person riding on a bull, arriving from a higher region. So you all know who he is, right? Lord Shiva. So Karpura Gauram Tridrisham Digambaram Chandrardamaulim Lalitam Trishulinam Gangajalamlana Jatavalidharam Basmangaragam Ruchirasti Malinam. So Tridrisham, he was three-eyed. Three-eyed. Karpura Gauram, he was white like camphor. Digambaram, he was naked. Lalitam, He was very exquisitely beautiful. Trishulinam, he was carrying a trishul. Chandrarda Maulim, and he was having a half moon on his head. Jatavali, and his matted locks. Amlana Dharam, brilliant, which was brilliantly adorned by Gangajala. Gangajala Amlana Jatavali Dharam. Hmm. So, like that. Hmm. Basmanga Ragam, his body was smeared with ashes. Ruchirasti Malinam, Ruchira, beautiful, Asti, bones, Malinam, garland. And he was graced by charming garland of bones. Hmm. So, okay. So, then Shila Sanatan Goswami. Okay. So, the form, the beautiful form of Lord Shiva is described. So Srila Sanatan Goswami writes, Lord Shiva's garland of bones was in fact auspicious and beautiful because it was made from the bones of the departed Vaishnavas. This is a very beautiful insight given by Srila Sanatan Goswami here. Astimali, Astimala, you know um, the garland of bones was auspicious and beautiful. It was made from the bones of the departed Vaishnava. Therefore, it was very auspicious and beautiful. Just like the places of Samadhi, even though a crematorium is meant to be an inauspicious place, where, you know, it is said to, one who goes there is supposed to take bath and purify oneself. But visiting a Samadhi is said to be actually very purifying. Said to be very purifying. Like, so similarly, and what does the Samadhi have? Samadhi has sometimes the ashes. So sometimes it has the bones. If the Acharya was burnt, sometimes his ashes and bones are carried and kept in the Samadhi, and the Samadhi Mandir is built. Right? But it is considered to be most auspicious. So even though he was wearing Astimala, the garland of bones, but still it is said to be auspicious and beautiful because it was made from the bones of the departed Vaishnavas. Like that. Okay, then. Gaurya Nijanka Shritaya Divyati Divyaihi Kalitam Parichadaihi Atmanurupair Parivara Sanchayaihi Samsevyamanam Ruchirakriti Hitaihi. Ashritaya, sitting on his lap, was Gauriya, was a woman of fair complexion. Anuranjitam Kalitam, who affectionately served him. Parichadaihi, very divine regalia surrounded him. Divya, Ati Divyaihi, which was more heavenly than the riches of heaven. Parivara Sanchayahi, and many followers, some Sevyamanam, they attended him. Ruchira Akriti Ihitaihi Atmanurupaihi, whose forms and behavior perfectly was befitting for his service. Sitting on his lap, Mother Parvati served him. Okay. Many followers also served him. So, Srila Sanatan Goswami writes, upon first seeing him, Gopakumar was unaware of who Lord Shiva was, and so describes him as Kamapi, someone. And although Gopakumar knew nothing about Lord Shiva's transcendental relationship with his wife, he describes her as Gauri. Since he could see with his own eyes her beautiful golden complexion, because she was in Gaura. Her, he is addressing Gauri, but he does not know that she is Parvati and he is Lord Shiva. At first sight, Gopakumar could recognize that the royal umbrella, chamara fans, and other personal accoutrements of Lord Shiva were more excellent than those of the demigods. Because he has already seen those paraphernalia belonging to the demigods. He has what to speak of seeing. He has been Indra also for a while. So he knows that certainly these paraphernalia are actually more glorious, were more glorious than the paraphernalia belonging to the demigods. And suitably exalted attendants with great devotion carried that umbrella, fanned Lord Shiva with the chamaras, and performed other services for him and his consort. The associates of Lord Shiva appeared very handsome, including Shri Ganesh with his large abdomen and elephant's head. And they all conducted themselves in a very attractive manner. By worship of Ganesh, the demigods, one may attain a form with, for example, a protuberant belly and an elephant's head. So he's telling that, by worship of Ganesh or other demigods, one may attain a form with, for example, a protuberant belly and an elephant's head. This is quite interesting. So just like you get sarupya when you worship the Supreme Lord and go to his abode, you get a form which is similar to his form. Similarly, if you worship Lord Ganesh, you may also get a protuberant belly and an elephant's head. But those who worship Lord Shiva, understanding that he is non-different from Shri Krishna. Okay. So there are two levels of worshippers of Lord Shiva. There are three types of worshippers of Lord Shiva. Okay. So the first 1, 2, 3. I will not be able to write it here. So the first are those who worship him considering him superior to Vishnu. The second category, those who worship him considering him to be non-different from Vishnu. And the third are those who worship him as a Vaishnava. So three categories. Okay. So here it is mentioned that first category, those who worship him, considering him superior to Lord Vishnu, they are considered to be the low-grade Shaivites. Such people get only material benefits. The second category, those who worship him, considering him to be non-different from Vishnu, they go to Lord Shiva's planet and eternally reside there. Okay. So, and they are considered to be the high-grade Shaivites. Those who worship him as a Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Yatasham, they are Vaishnavas actually, they are not Shaivites. They attain the abode of Lord Vishnu. Okay. So, like that. So, but those who worship Lord Shiva, understanding that he is non-different from Sri Krishna, they attain beautiful bodily forms on Lord Shiva's planet. This is affirmed in the narration of Lord Shiva's battle with Andaka in Sri Vamana Puran, chapter 59. Like that. Any quick comments, discussion points, questions, anything anyone would like to share? Ask. There is one question in the chat box. Here, Ganesha is present in the spiritual world. So, he is not a general demigod, or is he a general demigod? Is Ganesha an eternal personality, or is it a post? Well, definitely Lord Shiva and his entourage are not just ordinary demigods, because not all demigods are on the same platform. Some are just mere posts. Some are not just posts. They are like definitely superior personalities. And definitely Lord Ganesh and Mother Parvati belong to that category. They are not ordinary demigods actually. Okay, there is another question. If they worship Shiva as non-different than Vishnu, how are they just Shaivites? It means they are recognizing Vishnu as the supreme. Yeah, but the point is Lord Shiva is not absolutely non-different from Lord Vishnu also. And they are not worshipping Lord Vishnu's form, but they are worshipping Lord Shiva. So, in that sense, they are Shaivites. They are borderline, you can say. They are borderline. They are not like cutter Shaivites also. They are not complete Vaishnavas also, like that. Krishnanam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, this third one I didn't hear properly. What happens to those who see him as Vaishnava?
They go to the abode of Lord Vishnu because they are proper Vaishnavas.
Okay, and the second category, they reside in the Shiva Loka eternally.
Yeah, eternally. Yes.
Is it also considered spiritual planet, Prabhu, or is it?
Okay. Okay, there is a question in the chat box. Whom does Lord Shiva give devotion for Vishnu? Those are those who worship him probably seeking bhakti, or those who are already like Lord Shiva. When he saw the Prachetas worshipping Vishnu, he became very inspired and he enhanced their bhakti towards Lord Vishnu. Okay. So when Lord Shiva sees any Vaishnava approaching him, he is very eager to give his contribution to enhance that devotee's already existing devotion. So definitely devotees, they stand to gain from Lord Shiva a dose of mercy to enhance their pre-existing devotion to Lord Krishna. Probably if someone approaches Lord Shiva wanting the highest benefit, connect me, who is that highest person? I want to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I do not know who he is. Those kind of personalities, when they approach Lord Shiva, probably he will bless them with, he will show him to Lord Vishnu, because that's what he is aspiring. That Lord Vishnu is the supreme. Anything else anyone would like to share as add before we move ahead? So here he is still in Gopakumar is still in Brahmajyoti only. And Lord Shiva, along with his entourage, they have come to Brahmajyoti. And Gopakumar is having a darshan of Lord Shiva here. That is the situation right now. Okay, if there are no further discussion points, we will continue further. Paramam Vismayam Prapto Harsham Chaitad Achintayam Konvayam Parivaradhyo Bhati Mukti Padopari Praptaha Paramam Vismayam, feeling the greatest surprise, Harsham cha, and delight. Yetad Achintayam, I thought. Kahanu Ayam, who is this? Parivaradhya, accompanied by such an entourage. Bhati Mukti Pada Upari, and he certainly seems to have appeared from a place above the abode of liberation. Astonished, I thought. Who is he? He certainly seems from above liberation. Like that Gopakumar was thinking. So then he continues. Jagat Vilakshaneshwaryo Mukta Vargadiko Pisan Lakshyate Sadacharo Mahavishayavaniva. Lakshyate Jagat Vilakshana Aishwaryo. He looks more powerful than anyone in the material world. Mukta Varga Adhikopisan, and more excellent than all liberated souls also. Ati Sad Acharo. Yet he seems to violate the rules of civilized behavior. Mahavishayavaniva, just like a great sense gratifier. He looks more powerful than anyone of this world. More excellent than the liberated souls. Yet seems the civilized behavior. Like that he was thinking. Srila Sanatana Goswami writes, it struck Gopakumar as strange that even though this unique person appeared to be supreme ruler of the material world, the defender of religious principles, he was ignoring the rules of proper behavior by traveling naked, embracing his wife in public, and so on, enjoying all kinds of sense gratification, even though he seemed a fully liberated transcendentalist. So he could not understand this contradictory qualities and behavior in Lord Shiva. How is this possible? Like that he was thinking. So then he says, Parananda Barakranta Chetas Taddarshanadaham Namansa Parivarantam Kripaya Kito Muna. So he says that Chetaha Parananda Bhara Akranta. Akranta means overcome. Bhara means weight. Para Ananda means intense bliss. By the weight of the supreme ecstasy I felt, Darshanat, by seeing him. Aham tam naman, I bowed down to him, sa parivaram, along with his entourage. Amuna kripaya alokitaha, and he, in return, he mercifully glanced at me. I felt ecstatic seeing him, and I bowed down. He mercifully glanced at me. Harshavegadupavrajya Shrimannandishvarakwayam Apracham Tadganadhyaksham Tadvrittantam Visheshataha. Harshavegad, impelled by the urge of joy, Upavrajya, I approached Tadgana Adhyaksham, the leader of the entourage, Shrimadishvarakwayam, who was called as Nandishvara. Visheshataha Apracham, and I asked him Tadvrittantam, what he was doing. So I asked him about this person, Lord Shiva, and what he was doing. I joyfully approached Nandishvara and inquired that personality. So Srila Sanatana Goswami writes, altogether unfamiliar with Lord Shiva, Gopakumar asked Sri Nandishvara, who is this? Where is his residence? Where is he going now? Like that. So he asked Nandishvara these questions. So Sasahasam avochan mam Gopalopasana Gopabala na janishe Shri Shivam Jagadishwaram. Saha Sahasam avochan mam. Saha, that Nandishvara, Sahasam, laughingly, mam avochan, he spoke, he said, O Gopabala, O cowherd boy, Gopala Upasana Para, one who is, you definitely seem to be a devoted worshipper of Gopala. So he says that Na Janishe Shri Shivam Jagadishwaram. Don't you recognize Lord Shiva, the Lord of the universe? Nandishwara laughed and told me, don't you recognize Lord Shiva, worshipper of Gopal? There is a question in the chat box. Is Nandishwar the bull on which Lord Shiva was traveling? I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, I think. Okay, there is another question in the chat box. Even Nandishwar knows Gopakumar is a worshipper of Gopal. So is he also Sarvagya like the four Kumaras and others? Well, let us see what Srila Sanatan Goswami says about this. So here Srila Sanatan Goswami says that Nandishwar found it amusing that a devotee of Lord Gopal could be ignorant of the identity of Lord Shiva. But since Gopakumar was a simple cowherd boy, Nandishwar thought, oh, he might be so poorly informed like that. By calling Lord Shiva the Lord of the universe, Nandishwara tactfully told Gopakumar that since Lord Shiva is independent, he can apparently violate the laws of civilized behavior without blame. Because probably Nandishwar could read the amusement in the face of Gopakumar, the sort of in seeing a personality who seems so powerful and so exalted, yet seemingly violating very simple sadachar. So Nandishwar very tactfully in responding to Gopakumar, he says, instead of just asking, don't you know Lord Shiva? He's asking, don't you identify Lord Shiva who is Jagadishwara? Like that. So that's what he's asking him. So he says, so yeah, how did Nandishwar find out that Gopakumar was a worshipper of Lord Gopal? Well, it's not very clear. It's not very clearly indicated here. Maybe there was some prior conversation which is not mentioned here. Or maybe he was, Nandishwar also was like a Sarvagya who understood that. And it's not very difficult to understand. If you read in His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's biography, The Journey Home, when Maharaj was in North India, I think Patna, right? So there, in the association of Ram Sevak Swami others, they would be in Hindi discussing Ramayan Katha, but whenever Maharaj would uh, ask that person, can you please share what you all discussed? He would just tell that simple Damodar Leela. So, because his guru had told him he is a devotee of Krishna and he does not know it yet. So don't tell him Ram Katha, speak to him only Krishna Katha, like that. So this is quite possible. It is certainly not impossible that, and in fact, Maharaj had not yet even heard the name of Krishna actually, yet. He didn't know that a form of Krishna existed, and it was the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He didn't know that, but still, uh, Ram Sevak Swami could know that he was a worshipper of Krishna. So, I mean, I'm just sharing various possibilities. It is not so explicitly given here whether Nandishwar was a Sarvagya, or is it that only the prominent conversations are mentioned here. Probably some little chit-chatting has already happened between the two of them, and Gopakumar had already expressed to him. It's not clear. So there is a question here. Palayan could be a servant. Nandishwar being an empowered Nitya Siddha, devotee of Lord, could also be. I'm not denying that possibility. I'm not denying that possibility. Certainly, that is definitely a possibility. But because it's not so explicitly mentioned here, I am leaving that as a possibility rather than a conclusion. That is definitely a very strong possibility. But because it's not very explicitly mentioned here, I would just leave it as a possibility rather than concluding that is the case. So, like that. Okay. So here Nandishwar is telling, Gopala Upasana Para, devoted worshipper of Gopal, don't you recognize Lord Shiva, who is the Lord of the universe? Yeah. Like that he is addressing. So he says, Bhukter Muktescha Datayam Bhagavad Bhakvardhanaha Muktanamapi Sampujyo Vaishnavanam Cha Vallabha. Ayam Data Bhukter Muktescha. He is the giver of material enjoyment, bhukti, and mukti, liberation. Bhagavad Bhakti Vardhanaha, and he expands devotion to the personality of Godhead. Muktanam api sampujya, he is worshipped even by the liberated souls. Vaishnavanam cha Vallabha, and he is very dear to the Vaishnavas. Birth of bhukti and mukti. He expands Bhagavad Bhakti also. Okay. And he is worshipped by muktas, liberated soul. And he is dear to the Vaishnavas. This is what he is telling, Nandishwara is telling Gopakumar. So Srila Sanatana Goswami comments here, Lord Shiva is Bhagavad Bhakti Vardhana in more than one sense. By showing a loving attitude towards the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, Lord Shiva increases the Supreme Lord's reciprocal love for him. So, and apart from this, Lord Shiva himself, a great Lord, Bhagavan, who promotes the process of devotional service to Vishnu. He teaches his own devotees that Bhagavad Bhakti is the supreme goal of life, greater than all others. So this is what he teaches his own devotees, that Bhagavad Bhakti is the supreme goal of life, greater. The real meaning of Lord Shiva's being Bhagavad Bhakti Vardhana is that by his very words and behavior, he increases the inhabitants of the universe their devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so, he is very dear to the devotees of Lord Vishnu who aspire for his association. His association is Vaishnava Sangha. So that is the meaning of Bhakti Vardhana. Of course, he does not teach this to those who approach him with a predisposition of concluding that he is the Supreme Lord and that there is nothing higher than him. To such people, Lord Shiva will not teach that, no, I am not the Supreme. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme. Because that would contradict the mood of Krishna himself. Yo yamyam tanum bhaktam shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tameva vidadamyaham. So, so if Lord Shiva could do it, then all the demigods also, they are also worshippers of Vishnu only. They could also do it to all their worshippers. But none of the demigods do that. Etavan eva yajatam iha nishreya sodayah bhagavati achalo bhavo yad bhagavata sangatah. Bhagavatam says that all these worshippers of demigods, they will certainly not automatically become devotees of Lord Vishnu. That is possible only by the association of devotees. Demigods themselves are devotees, right? Won't they give that association to their own worshippers and make them Vaishnavas? He says no, because they are not attracted to Vishnu, they are attracted to the particular demigod as an object of worship. So, therefore, they don't act in a way that it would compromise their faith, the worshippers' faith in themselves, even though they don't like it actually. So, therefore, here Srila Sanatana Goswami is describing what is the essential meaning of Lord Shiva being addressed here as Bhagavad Bhakti Vardhana, which means by his very words and by his behavior, he increases the devotion for the Supreme Lord in the inhabitants of this universe. So therefore, the devotees of Lord Vishnu also aspire for his association. Like that. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions here? Anything anyone would like to share? Ask. Okay, if there is none, we will continue our discussion. Shiva Krishna Pratadrishti Bhakti Labhyat Swalokata Swanurupat Kuverasya Sakyur Bhakti Vashikritah Kailashadri Malankartum Parvatya Priyayanaya Samam Parimitair Yati parivritayir. So he says that bhakti vashikritaha, drawn by the devotion, sakyuhu kuverasya, drawn by the devotion of his friend Kuvera, yati anaya priyaya parasamam. He is traveling with his beloved Parvati, parimitair priyaihi parivritayir vritaha. He is traveling with his beloved Parvati and his dear gentle companions, Kailashadrim Alankartum, to grace Mount Kailash with his presence. So here the question asked by one of the questions asked by Gopakumar to Nandishwara was, where is he going? So he's telling, oh, drawn by the devotion of his friend Vera, he is traveling with his beloved Parvati and dear gentle companions to grace Mount Kailash with his presence. And from where is he coming? Swalokataha. He came from his own planet. Swanurupat, as transcendental as he. So his planet is as transcendental as Lord Shiva. From there, and how can you attain that abode? He says, Bhakti Labhyat, an abode which can be reached only by devotion. Shiva Krishna Apratak Drishti. Bhakti to Lord Shiva, where they see Lord Shiva and Krishna to be non-different. Shiva Krishna Apratak Drishti Bhakti Labhyat. That loka which can be attained through devotion to Lord Shiva, who sees non-difference between him and Krishna. Okay. So, drawn by devotion of where he is going to Kailash. And he is coming from his own transcendental planet. Okay. Which is attained by devotion by those who see him to be non-different from Krishna. Shiva Krishna Apratak Drishti Labhyat. Okay, like that. So here Sri Nandishwara is telling, Srila Sanatana Goswami explains. Here Nandishwara explains where Lord Shiva comes from and where is he going. Lord Shiva's own place beyond the coverings of the material universe is attainable by those who worship him and Lord Vishnu on the same level. That transcendental world is suitable for Lord Shiva's pleasure, equipped as it is with all kinds of eternal and unlimited opulence. Yet, Lord Shiva gracefully accepts the friendship of demigod Kuvera, the original proprietor of Mount Kailash, and submits himself to Kuvera's devotion. So he is going from his own abode of Shivaloka to Mount Kailash in the material world, actually, on his way. So he is crossing via Brahmajyoti. He is transiting Brahmajyoti. Okay. And so Lord Shiva is way to visit Kailash in the company of Parvati, his consort. Since Parvati, the mother of the universe, is Lord Shiva's supreme energy, Gopakumar should not be shocked to see her sitting on his lap in public. He is addressing that Parvatya Priyaya Anaya Priyaya. That so therefore one should not be embarrassed to see Mother Parvati sitting on his lap in public like that. But why is Lord Shiva traveling with such a small entourage? Okay, this question arises. So in answer to this, although on his own planet he has many more devotees, for this trip he has chosen only his dearmost associates, because the Kailash with the material world can accommodate only some of his opulence and entourage. Okay, it can accommodate only some of his opulence and entourage and not all. So therefore, that is the explanation given by Nandishwara about Lord Shiva. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share? There are some questions in the chat box. Let's see. Lord Shiva is Ishvara Tattva and also a Vaishnava, both at the same time. He is Lord himself and also a devotee. Actually, if you see, from the point of view of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there is a very explicit Taratamya established between the Amshi and the Aksha. And this is so explicit in Amshas have Das Abhiman towards the Amshi. Like Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, they all have Das Abhiman towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even though they are all not just Ishvara Tattva, they are actually Vishnu Tattvas. So, from the perspective of the Amshas themselves, they see themselves as Chaitanya Das Mui Chaitanya Das, or Krishna Das Mui Krishna Das. So certainly, even though Lord Shiva is, so there is no contradiction here, because even the other Vishnu Tattvas who are Amshas, they consider themselves to be devotees of Amshi Krishna. This is their internal mood. In their relationship with Amshi, this is their internal mood. Even though they may relate with the living entities as an Ishvara, but in relating with the Amshi, they relate as Das. This is their internal mode, which is not so explicitly spoken in the other Sampradaya literatures also. It is not spoken. But in our Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, this is brought out very beautifully. This Das Abhiman of the other Vishnu Tattvas also. What to speak of Lord Shiva? Even though he is an Ishvara Tattva, he is still Ishvara Tattva of an inferior type. He is not even Vishnu Tattva actually. and the beauty of Lord Shiva is that the mood of Lord Shiva which is seen here in Brihad Bhagavatamrita and Bhagavatam. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, even the Vishnu Tattvas show the same mood. They try to enhance the devotion of other living entities to the Amshi. Like that. Okay. So, there is another question in the chat box. He is traveling from spiritual world Kailash to the Kailash of the real world. Earlier we had read Lord Shiva is present at both the places simultaneously. Yes, he is there, and at the same time he travels also. So, we saw that Jay and Vijaya, they are traveling from Vaikunta to the material world, and it is explained that actually Jay and Vijaya, their original forms remain in Vaikunta only their expansions travel. So if this is possible for Jay and Vijaya, for them to be physically present in Vaikunta, but in their expansion form travel to the material world, it should be possible for Lord Shiva also. Yes. Seeing Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna as non-different, does that mean the second offense, considering Lord Shiva to be equal to Lord Krishna? Well, it may be, may not be. It depends on the mood in which Lord Shiva is non-different also. But certainly these Shaivites, they see the non-difference aspect, but probably they don't see the difference aspect. Because if they saw the difference aspect, probably they would also worship Shiva as a Vaishnava and not as the Supreme Lord himself. So, could this be the second offense? Yes. Second offense of a borderline nature, I would say. This is certainly second offense, but borderline second offense, not literally, complete second offense like that. So that's my understanding. That is why they don't go to Vaikunta. Why has Kuvera been called as a friend of Lord Shiva here? Because he is a friend of Lord Shiva. Why? There must be some history to it. I think Kuvera is the brother of Lord Shiva, right? Kuvera is the Ravana. Oh. And he's a worshipper of Lord Shiva, I think. Sakyuhu, in the sense, not literally drawn by the friendship. So here, friendship does not literally mean that way. I think here friendship means devotion. So he's a worshipper of Lord Shiva sense. So Lord Shiva, another question here. In dealing with the Vishnu Tattvas, he becomes a servant and devotee. With Vaishnavas, he is a Vaishnava, and with other living entities, he is the Lord. Yes, something like dealing with the Vishnu Tattvas, he becomes a servant and a devotee. With the Vaishnavas, he becomes a Vaishnava. And with the other living entities who consider him to be the Lord, he takes that position of Lordship. Yes, true. That's my understanding. Anything else anyone would like to share as add? Okay. If there is none, then we will, let's see. We have another just 2 minutes. I think we'll pause here and we will continue this discussion tomorrow. So thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. We'll continue this discussion tomorrow. 2:30 we will meet for Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and today evening at 8 o'clock we'll meet for Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. श्री सनातन गोस्वामी पाद की जय, श्री बृहद भागवतामृता की जय। हरे कृष्ण। थैंक यू वेरी मच।